You still hate your cousin?
It's so funny because that guy just said, do you still hate your cousins? I think he said, do you still hate your cousins? Funny thing is, I actually do. That is an actual fact. So how did that guy he has no clue who I am. He doesn't watch my channel, or, you know, odds are he has no clue, you know, that what I'm doing on YouTube or anything. And you'd have to watch a lot of, I don't really talk that much about everyone, but every once in a while I'll have a little thing like, I can't believe how they behaved. Unbelievable. Like, I am in shock. Like, oh my God, my aunt put up with this her whole life. But somehow that guy's saying you still hate your cousins. And I would wonder, like, how did where does that come from? So, you know, unless this sounds far-fetched, unless you've been stalked to death, but unless you were actually planted and knew that I typically came out here and found out that I was walking in this area, and he was told to say that as if you were part of some rogue theater group, which they do have. They have progressive artists who think they're changing the world, but they're, you know, godlike productions and so forth and so on, and they are technically, they're self-righteous and harassing people like this. So anyway, and self-righteous will be, they think they're right about everything, and they'll come out here and try to deprogram your brain. And everybody is in a place for a reason. Everybody, like, I wouldn't say to someone else, oh, I need to deprogram you, you got to be different. You know, everybody has their own journey, and you go to school or you seek, you know, assistance from people on your own accord. It's not to force things upon people is bad. And that's kind of what some of these progressive artists that take to the street, or theater groups or what have you, particularly in larger cities, but they think you're supposed to be different than you are. And you can't impose your beliefs upon another. Like, at best, you can have opinions and voice them, but to actually go so far as to show up on the street and do something that's technically harassment, you know. Anyway, so especially if you have, you know, thousands of people participating in a big game, you know, that begins in 2011. So at night, this building is lit, and, you know, sometimes it's pink. I guess they can change the colors, but it's not, the lights for this building, the facade, aren't on yet. Just the, you know, signage at the top. So, the digital lights or what have you. Later at night, this would be pretty. Pink is typically what they have. I guess at times they've had green for the eagles and stuff like that. Sometimes it's blue, like royal blue, which is blue. Supermarket here, grocery store, and it didn't last too long, only a few years. So I don't know why. I actually liked it because it felt like New York City, but they had to close it down. So yeah. Oh, sorry. So, and it was kind of, I actually liked it, the supermarket. It had a Starbucks in there, buffets, all kinds of, had an unusual layout. So, like, it was different from most supermarkets, but for whatever reason they decided it wasn't going to make it there. They opened a new one down on Washington Avenue and Broad Street. I will say, after my world exploded in 2011, and it's so bad, whoa, it's way worse than people can imagine. And especially because I look okay today and I'm doing this. But one of my cousins I reached out to, and he's sort of someone who doesn't really, connect with people for some reason. But he's like, well, nothing's bad's happened yet, right? And the idea would be, like, say there's all kinds of messaging up there, and you keep being made to believe like all kinds of crazy stuff is going on, like they're gonna set, the Illuminati is gonna set you up to look like this, that, or the other, it can get really bad, like, and it can be very convincing. It's a form of harassment that can't be seen, so we'll just leave it at that. But they can make you feel like you've been to therapy to escape sexual assault issues your whole life from people who took advantage or are predatorial or spiked your drinks or what have you. And then they want to make you look like they want to make you feel like someone will set you up to look like, a pedophile or something like that. So, and it's like, are you kidding? I've been trying to escape gross men my whole life. So anyway, but really bad. And my cousin just said, well, nothing bad's happened yet, right? Which implies he kind of knew what was going on, but he's not willing to come forward with what he knows or understands about whatever it is. Well, nothing bad's happened yet. I'm like, well, actually it has, because I was still being tortured in a way that you can't easily go to authorities about or whatever. So it's like, well, actually, some people consider the first night attempted murder, because I was made to believe I'd be murdered. It was like a series of orchestrated events. My mom and aunt's phone lines in Florida, Jacksonville is where they lived at the time, were severed, so that when I called, I heard, doo-doo-doo, we're sorry, the phone number you're trying to reach has been disconnected. That all added to the feeling of horror. And I believed more than 1,000,000% that it was the last night of my life that night when everything kicked off. I didn't think about calling him at first because I was used to him not being available as a person. In the past, I had tried after I graduated school, like, oh, maybe having a connection in Florida would be good in case a job comes up. But he just doesn't, he wouldn't connect with people for some reason, even though his job